Hi everyone, I'm Chef Leroy and welcome to my cozy kitchen. Well, today I'm going to show you something kind of cool I'm doing for my dinner today. First of all, I'm using spaghetti squash in place of pasta, but I'm going to make a sauce. I'm making a ratatouille sauce, but I'm going to do a little bit different twist on it. I'm doing it with hot Italian sausage. So let's get after it. Okay guys, so to make your sauce, I've got a number of items here on my countertop, okay? So let's go over a few things. So dry ingredients, which I have in this bowl right here. I've got 2 teaspoons of dry oregano, 1 teaspoon of dry thyme, 2 each bay leaf, about 20 cranks of black pepper, okay? You can use regular ground black pepper. You probably want to use about 1/2 teaspoon, okay? Also, we have 3/4 of a red onion. I've got 2 sweet peppers. I've got a nice large eggplant, which is very common in ratatouilles. Pretty much that's one of the main ingredients. I've got 3 smaller zucchini. I've got a very large, this is a juicing carrot. I've got 3 ribs of celery, which maybe is not as common in ratatouille, but I'm using it. I've got some button mushrooms. You can use portobellos as well. And then I've got 3/4 of an ounce of fresh basil. And we have olive oil, extra virgin. And the other ingredient that I don't have here, which I may use later, is salt. Okay. And then 2 of the other parts to this are the tomato products. Okay. I'm using fire roasted diced tomatoes by Hunt's, 14.5 ounce can. I don't know. They used to come in 16 ounce, but everything is shrinking. Okay. Then I like this sauce here. This is Moody. It's a puree, tomato puree. This stuff is fantastic. Highly recommend it. It's a little more expensive in the store, but you know what? You will be very, very happy with this sauce. All right. So that's all the ingredients. Let's get chopping. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my mushrooms. Okay. I like to saute my mushrooms without oil. Cut your mushroom in half. I'm going to do a little bit smaller slice, okay? And just like that, okay? And repeat until your 8 ounces of mushrooms are cut. And throw them right into your pot, okay? You're going to need a taller sided pot for this recipe. Okay, you'll need a nice container to put all your vegetables in. And basically I'll start with my red onion. Okay, again, we're dicing that up. I can show you what that looks like, just like so, okay. Not too big, not too small, kind of in between, about a medium dice. Okay, we'll do our peppers next. Cut them in half. Gonna seed them. Okay, again, we're going to do a medium dice on the peppers, okay? Okay, I'll show you what that looks like. Just like so, okay? See the end of my finger. All right, perfect. Throw them in your bucket. And repeat. Okay. Peppers, onions done. Let's do the zucchini. Trim your ends off. I'll cut it in half. These are small, so I'm going to just cut them in half again, so quarters, and then cut across, just like so. And they're going to be like that big, okay? A little bit larger than your other vegetables. Just drop them right in there. Next up, we're going to do celery. Okay, 3 ribs. Okay, these are smaller, so I'm just going to cut them straight down the middle. If you got larger ones, maybe do them in thirds. All this vegetable has been washed beforehand too. I'll cut the celery a little bit smaller than those zucchini. Same size about as you did your onion. Okay, just like so. That's what it should look like, okay? Okay, next up, carrot. What do we need to do with the carrot? We need to peel it. Now this is a really large one, so I'm going to cut it in half. Make it a little easier to work with. Carrot is peeled. Okay, cut your carrot in half. Gonna cut it in half again. And again. Okay, just to cut it down a little smaller, okay? And that's what it should look like, okay? A little bit bigger pieces, but not too big. All right, carrots are done. Sorry, I got a lot of background noise in my house, so got some upholstery being cleaned. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is work on our eggplant, okay? So just trim the stem end off and the bottom end off, like so. And you can take your peeler and peel it. Now, do you have to peel eggplant? No, you don't have to. But I like to peel mine. Okay, just like that, all right, peeled. So cut it in half to make it a little more manageable, okay? Now we're gonna cut it into like planks, basically, okay? Just like that, okay? And then we're gonna cut it into smaller pieces. You wanna cut this the same size as your zucchini, okay? So let's take a look at that. See that there? That's what you want, okay? All right, show you another one. And continue. And just like that, okay? So, all your vegetables cut. Now let's go take a look at our mushrooms. Okay, guys. So, next thing we're gonna do is add our Italian sausage to our mushrooms. Again, I did not use any oil in the sauteing these mushrooms. And I've got my temperature on about a medium heat. Add our Italian sausage right to the pot. This is 1 pound of hot Italian. There you go. Okay, we'll let that soften up in the pot. So you can start to saute it off. So I don't have this on a very high heat because I want to break up that sausage in there. So you want to heat it slowly so it gets nice and soft. So it's a lot easier to break up pretty nicely, okay? All right, we'll get back to you in a little bit on this. Okay, some other things you can do while you're waiting for your sausage to cook. Go ahead and open up your can. Tomatoes. Set that aside. Open up your tomato sauce. Make sure you shake it really well. Pop that open and have that ready. We're going to move that over toward the pot. And then the other thing we can do is go ahead and chop up our fresh basil, okay? So make sure you take the leaves off the stems. Just don't want to use those large, big pieces of stem. All right, roll up your basil in your hand. I always roll it up like this, nice and tight, like a little ball. And then julienne, chopped up. Go ahead and cut across. There you go. And what I'll do, I'm going to add this to my dry spice bowl. So we're going to add that after we get our sauce into our pot. Perfect. All right, let's go check on those mushrooms and Italian sausage. Okay, so what I decided to do is use my wooden spoon to help break down the sausage a little bit more, okay? So as it starts to cook, it gets kind of chunky. Now, yeah, just keep working it, and then you're gonna add your vegetables to it. Okay, and so I can show you another little trick. If you're having problems with your spoon breaking your meat down a little smaller, if you got a potato masher, use that. This is a rubberized one, right? Plastic. So I would probably use this, especially if you're using your nonstick. But just work it around the sausage, kind of squishing it down, and that'll help break up some of those bigger pieces. It's not perfect, but works, you know. Okay, now you can look here and see it's pretty good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and add our vegetables to it. That's a lot of vegetable. But guess what it's gonna do? All that vegetable is gonna cook down. That's what you want. That's what ratatouille is, a really well cooked down vegetable stew. It's really awesome, okay? So I'm just gonna let that vegetable sit on top. All right, let's let that cook. I'm gonna put a cover on it. And again, I got it on a medium heat. Just let that simmer in there. Okay, my ratatouille's been cooking for about 10 minutes. All right, I told you I had this pretty full. What you want to do is try to work your product up to the top from the bottom, nice and slow. Again, this will cook down quite a bit, so it looks like a lot right now, but it will definitely cook down. And I do not have my sauce in here yet either. Just gonna let all this vegetable simmer nicely together. Cover it back up. Let's let it cook. All right, I'm gonna give you a time check here. So I've had my vegetables cooking with my sausage and mushrooms for 1 hour, okay? Look at how much it's cooked down. So if you remember, it was all the way full. There's a lot of liquid in here, which is great, and all that good flavor, okay? So next step, we are going to add our sauce. Okay, now what do you do with this? You're gonna add some water to this, a little bit of warm water, probably about a 1/4 cup, and swirl it around and pour it in with your ratatouille. Okay, we got some water in the jar. Shake it all up nicely, and pour it in. There you go. Nice clean jar. All right, let's drop our diced tomatoes in there. Again, these are fire roasted. Do you have to do this? No, you can just do the sauce. You can do fresh tomatoes, but I like the flavor of these roasted tomatoes. Again, all right, let's give that a little stir. That looks beautiful. Then we're gonna drop in our herbs and spices. So throw that fresh basil and bay leaf, thyme, oregano, and black pepper in. And give that a little stir. Okay, we're just gonna let that cook. Cover back on. And there you have it. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit lower. Okay guys, we're back to our sauce here. And I just wanted to show you that it has been cooking for about 2.5 hours now, okay? Let's take a look here. As you can see, it's pretty soupy yet. And what we wanna do is cook it down until it gets thick. Make sure your cover is tilted off to the side a bit so you've got a gap in here. Let some of that steam escape from the pan. That'll help this reduce down, okay? You can use a spoon and slide it down into the side here to create a gap, okay? If your cover keeps on sliding downward. So this is a tablespoon I've got, okay? And you can do just like that. All right, we're just gonna continue to let it cook. I've got it on a pretty low temperature at the moment. As you can see, it's kind of on a low simmer. All right, guys, we're back at our pot with our ratatouille with Italian sausage, okay? Look at that. That looks beautiful. That's why we're calling it Italian ratatouille, because I put Italian sausage in here. its actual origins are French. But you can see how nice and thick this has gotten since I had it earlier where it was a little bit watery. Now, the last step that I'll use is I'm going to add some olive oil to the end of it, okay? And some minced garlic. So here we go, a tablespoon of minced garlic. And one more. So 2 tablespoons minced garlic. Two tablespoons of olive oil. Okay. Stir that in. And we're just going to go ahead and let it cook. Put that cover on again so it slightly covers the pan, but not all the way. Leave a gap at the edge. All right, we'll get back to this when it's finished up. Okay guys, I'm back at the ratatouille. This has been cooking since 10:30 this morning, and now it's 5:30. That's a lot of hours. But you know what? You're gonna have such a fantastic sauce. It doesn't need to cook too fast. Just take your time and you will find that you'll have just a fantastic ratatouille. We're gonna add some sea salt to it. I felt like it wasn't enough sodium in there. You can use kosher. You can use whatever kind of salt you'd like. I just happen to have sea salt. Just give that a stir. Now I'm just going to keep it on a low heat until I'm ready to serve it. We want to give it a taste real quick too. Whew, that is good, good, good. Got a nice little kick from that sausage. I used a hot Italian. That is really good. All right, guys. There you have it. Italian ratatouille. Ratatouille actually comes from France in its origin, but I added Italian sausage, so I made it Italian ratatouille. All right, guys. I'll give you a recap in a few minutes here. All right, guys. We're going to do a recap on the ratatouille that I made today. Again, I'm calling it Italian ratatouille because I added Italian sausage. Now, that's not as common, for sure, but that's what I did. I used 1 pound of hot Italian sausage. All right, so in the first part of that, I cooked my mushrooms in the pan first. I used 8 ounces of button mushrooms, which I sliced, and then 1 pound of the Italian sausage added to the pot, okay? After that, we got that sauteed, broke all the meat down. You saw me using a potato masher to kind of break that meat up a little bit. Then we added all the vegetable. What did we have in there? We had 1 eggplant peeled and diced, 2 sweet peppers, a red and a yellow. We had 3/4 of a red onion. Could you use a whole onion? Sure, doesn't matter. That's what I had, so that's what I used, okay? Next thing I did is I had 3 smaller zucchini, which I also diced and threw them in there. Let me see if I'm leaving anything out of that. And I had that large carrot, which was a juicer carrot. I like those because when I go to the store, I don't need to grab a pack of carrots and then try to figure out how to use them up for different recipes through the week, okay? So look for those single carrots there called juicer carrots, okay? They work just fine. So we cut all that, put it all in the pot. We also had 2 bay leaf, 1 teaspoon of dry thyme, 2 teaspoons of dry oregano, and then I had 3/4 of an ounce of basil. Now those are those packs that you get from the store. It's usually 0.75 of an ounce. They also have smaller packs, so just kind of keep an eye on what pack you're buying. Does it really matter that much? Could you use dry? Absolutely. You could use dry. I just like the fresh in there. And you saw that I added all that stuff last. So the first thing I did was I cooked the vegetables, and I basically cooked them for 1 hour before I even added my sauce and my chopped tomatoes. So I used Moody sauce, which is right here, this puree. I love this stuff. And I used 1 can of fire roasted diced tomatoes, okay? Poured that in the pot after it cooked for 1 hour. That was with all the vegetables with a cover on and everything in there. Threw everything in at the end of that. Now that's been cooking. So I started this whole project about 10:30 in the morning. By the time I got my sausage and my mushrooms cooking. And now it's almost 6 o'clock at night. Okay, so that's a long cook time, but you know what? Your sauce is gonna taste absolutely amazing. Okay, and then the last couple things I added were at the end, which I added my olive oil. That's very common in European recipes. They like to add that oil at the end as more flavor. I also added my minced garlic because it was minced and it's already in water, so I wanted that flavor at the end. And then I used 1 tablespoon of sea salt. So I will probably post a photo after this whole thing because I'm absolutely going to serve it over the top of my spaghetti squash that I also did video on, okay? But I'll post a photo of what I do at the end of this video. Well, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. Give me some thumbs up. Hit that notification bell. Ding, 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 ding. Place any comments at the bottom. If you have any questions, please leave a message for me. I'll be glad to answer it if I can. Otherwise, you guys have a great day. Chef Leroy and out.